Hello, my name is Voya and welcome to my deep guide, and today we have something slightly different. Seed Studio reTerminal E1001 paper display that's not an ePaper monitor. No. This is something completely different. So what do you get in the Seed Studio reTerminal E series ePaper display package? And this one is the E1001 paper display, 7.5-inch monochromatic, non-front lit, no touch capacitive display with a resolution of 800 by 480. Which I think amounts to around 110 ppi, so not really that great resolution there. So what you actually get is, obviously I've taken this stuff out, but you get the device itself, you get a power cable, you get your quick startup thing, and you get a 3D printed foot, non-adjustable foot, that you can affix to the device here, and then it just kind of stands on your desk, sort of like this, non-adjustable. Editing Voya reminder here for you to go to the Google Forms that you will find in the description of this video down below, where you can cast your vote for what you think is the best ePaper device that has been launched in year 2025. At the end of month December, I will be collecting all the votes, and the winner that you guys voted in will be posted in that video. If you're watching this video from the future and the link doesn't work, that is because of this mysterious concept called time. Thanks for casting your vote and for letting us all know what you guys think. The housing of this device is full on metal, so all of this metal construction, and that makes it kind of weighty with very kind of pointy sharp corners. I pressed the button, so now it's gonna maybe wake up, and then maybe it's gonna go to the next page. We shall see. So the back is full-on tank type of construction, and the front you have the recess here for the screen, and we have the plastic bezel around it, which is a little bit shiny. On the back we have the mounting, so that you can mount it to to the wall, and it's supposed to be able to work. I'm pressing buttons, so it's kind of doing its thing, and you're supposed to be able to mount it in portrait mode, or at least it has options to customize it to work in portrait mode as well. Stop doing things. Yeah, it does that. It just talks a lot. But the mount itself, it's only kind of landscapey. So, that's how long it took for it to wake up, connect, and then move to the accidental button press that I made. More on that later. As far as connectivity goes, we have the USB-C for charging and data communication. We have the on-off button right there, and we have the expansion with the SD card, which can serve as more memory if you want to use this device as like a static gallery to slide through different images and things like that. And on the other side, we have an 8-pin port, which is there for you to, it allows you to connect additional sensors, modules, or other type of hardware that you can then program to kind of communicate, I don't know, using Arduino or something like that, and then use this display to display information from those sensors or something like that. So this is not a wireless or a wired small e-ink monitor that you can use with a computer or something like that. Nope. This is something for those who tinker around and who like to explore and kind of nerd out in general. It's primarily made for that, and I think that this port is what makes it super duper awesome for those who are I think that basically makes it worthwhile. When you're starting out with this device, nothing about this is straightforward. So what can you do with this? Well, first thing you do, you register to a user and then you update its firmware. And once you've updated the firmware, getting its Wi-Fi and all of that kind of stuff. And basically all of that goes through either an app on a phone or much more reliably, what I found, is through the browser on your PC or on your Mac. That kind of platform allows you to start building rudimentary functions like multi-page information functionalities. One of the presets was as a weather station, right? And basically it just reads the weather from a fixed source. You can't really choose from which source is going to pull the weather or anything like that. You're very much limited to that. On the top we have 3 buttons and you'll see me pressing them. The green one is wake up and refresh button, and these 2 are page forward and page back. I'll explain what the pages are in a moment. When you're customizing what's going to show on the screen, you can either use it as a singular type of thing, so it can be just this and that's it, or you can, as I've programmed here, to kind of show multiple functionalities. So I'm just going to press the next page button here once. So I'm going to press it and wait. Now it beeps and it says like I've received the information and now I'm processing. And you wait actually a lot. Maybe it fell asleep in the meantime because it's now saying toot toot toot. But eventually it should be able to switch to the next page of the program that I made, which should be an RSS feed, news feed from, I believe, BBC or something like that. This is how it's functioning, right? So there we go, and it has changed eventually. So this is not broken type of functionality, this is how it's supposed to work. And you have this little green indication here, but that green indicator, status indicator and everything is all the way behind there, and you can't really see it, and you can't really understand what's going on or what's the status of the device, either when it's on the desk or especially when it's mounted on the wall. But okay, so now that it's woken up, I can go to the next page. So now it should be faster. So it takes a couple of seconds for it to register. And then it says like beep, I'm going to do the next page. And the next page is going to be one image that I added there as a gallery kind of thing. But you can see that this is taking a very long time. And while we're taking a long time, I want to kind of get your attention on the display quality or the lack thereof. And the rendering of the characters is really not that good. So this is normal operation. This is how long it took for it to go through the next image. So I'm going to press, there we go, now it's more interactive. Next image, so now it didn't go to sleep, now this is ideal, right? So now it's very interactive. Go to the next image. And the next image. And yes, it's black and white, but that's not the problem. The 110 ppi and the way it renders content is quite problematic. This page was me trying to test out because it can show a web page of your choosing, right? And I wanted to have it display like a web page of my Git hub, but it can't because it doesn't. The browser that's built in here is not really kind of up to par. And the problem with this is that if it works, great, but you can't really control the zoom state. You can't control what's going to be displayed. It's going to be just displaying a portion of a site, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's just going to be like that. And furthermore, you don't really have an input to kind of solve a problem if there is a problem with this. So very limited type of usability for websites. And in the meantime, it fell asleep, so now it wakes up and it beeps. So now when it wakes up, it's gonna maybe change to the next page. There's also an option you can link it to a YouTube channel and then make him kind of display YouTube statistics. So all potentially quite usable and interesting things for something like this, because the main benefit of this is that because it has a battery pack in there and it's an e-ink screen, it's supposed to last for like 3 months without a charge and provide something that they call distraction-free type of a information flow. And it can show you information about stocks, about this, about that, which are all genuinely very, very useful, although very niche, but extremely useful kinds of things. For example, this is the last page, and I just wanted to test out and use their system of just creating your own page and your own UI. So you go from like scratch, you add absolutely everything. And so yeah, this is like the battery charge, this is the number, yeah, what's the temperature in here, what's the humidity in here, this is the weather, what's the temperature outside, date, day, date and time, add a couple of images and a text box with some text. Now, you may think that this is all kind of good, but the user interface is very limited. And while it does have some snapping options, there are some really important aspects that are missing. So for example, you can't create a pixel perfect size of anything directly from the user interface. You would have to expose code and type in code in there, which makes it not that intuitive. And I don't see the point of that. So for example, I can't really say like, okay, here, this box, I want it to be fit to width and I don't know, 60 pixels tall. You know, very, very simple things like that. You don't have that. And if you're with the images, you can't crop them. You can't do anything. The way the image is, that's it. You can't really link elements. So I can't really add a text box and then a background and link the text box to a background and then have that as a singular element. I can't really, I mean, ideally for something like this, if I wanted to, I could have like a text box here, which changes over time and every day, or randomizes which text it's going to display throughout the time, and you just feed it a buttload of text and it just does that. You definitely, you are able to do that via coding, so you would be able to do that, but via the user interface, you simply don't have these things. And what you have in the web user interface is very, very rudimentary, like really, really rudimentary, and it takes quite a long time. Even that would have been okay if what you get as a result was something that's good. And this is where I have the biggest gripe with this device, because the display itself, the core of it, what it actually is simply not good enough. That resolution of 800 by 480 on electrophoretic display, it's simply not good enough. 110 ppi. Remember, we are now at 300 ppi as a standard for 7.8-inch devices for well over 7 years. And this is a 7.5 inch, so as good as, but at 110 ppi. And you see it. You see it everywhere you look. I genuinely believe that you can find really good use applications for a geeky kind of thing like this, that is just there for, like, if they say it's going to be 3 months, then cool, I'm going to believe them. But let's say even if it's a month without charging, that's really, really cool. Exposes the 8 pins there that you can hook up to sensors. So for example, let's go geeky. Hook it up to temperature sensors or fan sensors on your desktop computer, and then create like a nice user interface that reads all of those things and kind of shows you updated real-time information somewhere. Or you have a server, like I do have a server, and then you can hook it up to your Linux, and then it sends information about CPU state, the hard disk state, and processes and things like that. All of those things, theoretically, you could do. And that's like a super useful thing to just have on your desk, especially, let's say, for a server which is going to be ultimately in a different room for obvious reasons. And then you have like a little terminal that just tells you the status and important stuff, and it can even hang on a wall, which is perfectly fine. I'm okay with that being maybe not ideal user interface or things like that. That's all fine. But the problem is that even if you jump through all of the hoops that you may need to jump through, this image quality as an end result, there's nothing you can do about this. This is it. This is what the display is. And to me, that simply ruins it. The only application where it kind of can make sense is for really large kind of fonts, and you really need to steer clear from any kind of grayscale, so either black and white, because grayscale is going to be rendered with a dithering application, and that doesn't look good. Anything smaller is just not really good reading quality. It's readable, yes, but it's not something that I would characterize as okay. That turned out to be quite a bit of a bummer for me, because I was really optimistic about this device, and because it took a while for me to actually get to it. I read it ahead of time, and I read some documents and stuff like that just to kind of prepare. So I was having like a lot of plans and a lot of ideas on what I could use this kind of a fidgety, gadgety kind of thing for. But once I actually powered it up and I saw the readability and the image quality and the lack of it, all of those plans kind of fizzled out completely, and the excitement about it fizzled out completely, simply because the display itself is not good enough. That's the unfortunate thing. Why they didn't go with a 300 ppi display for this size? Because we know they exist. I have no idea. And additionally, the ergonomics of it are weird, because if you have this, hooked up to the wall, the power on is around here, so you would have to kind of power it like this while it's hooked up on a wall, which is definitely not pleasant. The status light is completely then hidden. You don't see anything with the status light. So yeah, the idea of this, I was super excited about the very idea about this, but unfortunately the reality of it was not something that's right for me. Does this have applicational value? Abso-freaking-lutely it does, because of that super long battery life. And if you're not relying on readability of content to be super duper high, but you just care about good enough, this delivers good enough readability. And if that's good for you, the flexibility of everything that this thing allows is really cool, because what you're essentially getting is a fully programmable display that can hook up to anything. I mean, one of the tutorials is basically programming up a display image via code alone. Total basic style. I mean, I remember in high school when we have computer science, we were learning Pascal and BASIC, and one of the things that I was doing was in BASIC, I would actually kind of sketch out a drawing on a grid paper and then transfer those two coordinates and then type it in BASIC with lines, 10, 20, 30, blah, 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 blah. And that was my assignment, to actually draw with perspectives and stuff, lines, and fill them out with colors and all that kind of stuff, like uber nerdy stuff. And yeah, that was back in 96, so it was in the last century. And even then it was like dated. BASIC was dated even back then. But they're showing examples of this now in 2025, which is fun for an old geezer like me. Definitely a fun, nerdy kind of thing, and it may be a fun thing for young people to learn and things like that. However, the problem here is that the seamlessness of interaction of how you can hook this thing up and get stuff to communicate is just not streamlined enough. As far as I'm concerned, I think that's going to be the main obstacle. And also, you've seen me now through talking, like, even if you get stuff on it, responsiveness and everything is just, I don't know, it feels like a roll of the dice. You don't know when it's gonna do stuff. It doesn't feel complete, and it doesn't feel finished as a platform to me. So, final thoughts on the reTerminal 1001. This is the monochromatic version. I really freaking love this thing as a concept, especially when you have the 8-port on the back that you can stop talking, stop beeping at me constantly, especially if you have this port on the back that you can hook up to other sensors, because theoretically you can hook this up to be a part of your... It just continually beeps at me and interrupts me. But let me try and get through it. As I mentioned before, you could put it as a part of your desktop computer build, hook up temperature sensors or fan sensors and stuff like that, or a fan controller to this whole thing, and it displays everything. Okay, I think I'm just going to set it down here so that it stops beeping. No, it will never stop beeping. Beep. Oddly, that makes me like it a little bit, because it's giving it character. It's starting to like, hey, go people. This is a cute little thing, and I think it can be really, really useful. The problem usually with these types of things is what's the real world usability of them. And this one is almost there, and it definitely can be used for quite a few things. The only thing that I honestly think it's lacking, and it's a shame that it doesn't have it, is a better display. And that's not really an only thing when the primary thing of this product is the display. Really poor resolution of the display that makes its use very limited, because the potential of the platform is huge, but the limitations of the resolution of the display are the ones that are actually a hard cap limit on how far and how much you can get out of a display like that. And that, to me, is the biggest negative point. But if that's not something that concerns you, then this is a really interesting proposition for those amongst you who are the DIY-ers and, you know, thinkers and developers and stuff like that, because it's fun, but it's slow and has a low resolution, and it likes to beep. So keep those things in mind if you're considering the reTerminal 1001. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video. Bye!